Okay, I think we're live. Hello everyone, this is Mike Acerra from luxblox.com, and today we're talking about the Renaissance. We're talking about what we're doing here, what's going on in the world, and how we can think about it in a different way. And about 600 years ago, there was a horrible plague that went through Europe and a lot of the world. And what happened was, a good thing happened. After the plague was over, a lot of people started thinking about why they're here, what freedom is, and what it means. And if you hear that honking outside, they're having a parade. So it's a good time to start because everyone's happy outside celebrating, driving their cars by and having a parade. So we're celebrating the Renaissance today. And what happened in the Renaissance was this. People started thinking about freedom, and the freedom not just to move around, but the freedom to think, and the freedom to think for themselves, and the freedom to see and to live in this world. And so what I mean by that is this. The Italians went back to the Greeks, and they started thinking about things like cones. Well, what's a cone? And how do you draw it in 3 dimensions? Okay, and why is that even important? Well, it's our world. And how we think about the world, how we see the world is our business. And the Italians, and the Germans too, and the Dutch, they all started thinking about cones and how to draw cones and how to use their hand. And they thought about cylinders and how to draw cylinders and how to use their hand. And why was this important? Because they realized that the world is broken down and divided into cones, cylinders, and spheres, because people and things that are alive are combinations of these things, of cones, cylinders, and spheres. And understanding the world in its real constituent parts was so important if we wanted to understand the natural world, because that's how it was put together. So let's review a little bit from last week. If we want to draw a person, okay, if we want to think about the world, we need to think about these parts. I'm going to look at this thing right here, this sphere. It's a circle, obviously, right? If I want to think about its roundness, I can think about its roundness in a couple ways. I can think about the North Pole and the South Pole, and I can think about lines of latitude, lines that go like this. These curved lines define this form, okay? I could also think about lines of longitude. You see how the line gets more curvy as I go towards the edge. The discipline of drawing is this. Do I have the discipline to know this line from that line? Could I draw a line that's halfway between this curviness and this straightness, like that? Could I make it steadily go from straight to curvy? This is actually a fun little exercise. More curvy, okay? So longitudinal lines go like this, and latitudinal lines go like this. And that's really interesting because when we want to draw how something is round, we use these lines to emphasize the non-flatness. This is where the freedom came in the Renaissance. The freedom from being flat and thinking flat. And that, it sounds like, well, what's so wrong with flat? The world is round, is your world. If you want to see it as it really is, if you want to think about it as it really is, then you have to understand its roundness. The world has these beautiful shapes. If you go in a pond and see a fish, this fish has these beautiful shapes, right? And not only does it have that teardrop shape, but its scales are aligned in these beautiful S curves like we talked about last week. And these beautiful S's organize its scales. Drawing these S's helps you understand the organization of life. these S's are just the most beautiful thing to draw, and your hand wants to draw them. These lines were given to us by people thousands of years ago, and it's still the best art line there is because it's a line that gives us access from our hand and the motions it wants to make to nature and the shapes and forms it wants to make. So when we think about drawing people, okay, we have to think about these shapes. Now, last week we talked about a couple things. The nose and profile was a nice place to start because you make a C with a little shape like that. Remember that? And then you made the bridge, and then you made a C, a backwards 3, a C, and a chin. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. So simple, right? This was an early method to teach young kids in the Renaissance how to draw a face, okay? Why is that important? Why do we care? Because they knew that if you just use simple little lines and have a quick result, the early learner will learn that through doodling and play, they can make really, really, really great stuff, okay? And the trick involves this perspective of overlap. If we have one thing in front of another thing, we create the illusion that this thing is in front of that thing. Okay, like a baby playing peekaboo with the baby. The baby thinks the parent's face disappears, and the parents take their hands away, and they see the parent's face, and the kid says, oh my gosh, the parent is back again. They didn't actually disappear. We know that there's really no complete rectangle behind this one, but we're trained to think that there is, and that's why the illusion of overlap is so powerful and why we use it so often. So when we draw a face, we put the wing here of the nose. We know the wing is in front of the ball of the nose. And we create that illusion. The eye goes right here. We make the upper lid and the lower lid. We make an ear, back of the head, the neck, the throat. Okay? It's not that hard to do. And it's fun just to practice it over and over again. You can make a nose, and a nose, and a nose, right? And an eye, and an eye, and an eye, and a lips, and lips, and lips, and chin, and chin, and chin. This is a really fun exercise to do. And so I encourage you, make it part of your doodle play. Don't worry about making the whole person, okay? And same with the front view. Make an oval. It could be any kind of oval, wide or short, it doesn't matter. Divide it in half this way and divide it in half that way. And then you'll see where the eyes go. And remember, the eyes are one, and please, if you're there and you're listening, please send me those likes and those wows and those loves because that helps us get the message out. And I appreciate you all showing up today for this. If you want to know where the eyes go along this line right here that divides the face. And the eye is one eye apart. However big you make your eye, that's how big you make it, that's the distance between the two eyes. And then you make the other eye that big and the other eye that big. And so you go like this, you go like that. Okay, and it's a very simplified eye. We'll start simple. And the nose goes where our V goes, right there. The nose on the front view could be something like this, just a little shape like that where the nostrils are. And then here with the wings, and then the ball, and then the bridge. So, nostrils, wings, ball, bridge. Here is a nice shape. It's called the tear gland, the lacrimal gland, and it goes like that. It's a puffy swelling above the eye, and that's where the tears are made. They rain into the eye, and they go into the tear duct down here. Then they drain out your nose, and you have a runny nose, and you're crying, right? So that's what that swelling is, the lacrimal gland. And here, under here, is a teardrop shape where the angels pinched your mouth when you were a baby, so you won't give away the secrets of heaven. So there's a little teardrop shape. Your lips are there, little dimple. Upper lip, lower lip. Cleft of the chin is there. And then we have, I call it the cheeky cheek line where the zygomatic arch goes. And then you have the jaw, the neck, the back right here, the trapezius muscle. Then you have these muscles that come in here, the throat. And then you have a shape like that. This is where the collarbone is, okay? And I put a shape here, it's like this collar shape to show there's a three-dimensional thing. I just go around like that, it shows 3 dimensions. If the front view of the ear. We can simplify it. This is called shorthand. Okay, you don't have to draw the really crazy shapes of the ear. You can draw a shorthand of an ear that does the trick. And Leonardo taught us all these beautiful shorthands that I'm using today. And the hair too, shorthand. The only thing you have to remember is this is about halfway. The eyes are halfway up the head. So this distance here should be about the same. Maybe a little bit more adding for hair. Okay, the eyes are in the middle of the head. So now, let's think about the whole body. And remember last week we talked about how you divide the body in measurements of head lengths. So if I make a body that is 6 heads tall, it's going to be a young child's head, okay? Young child's body. That's the proportions. So here's the head. And then the neck. What I'm drawing here is the back here, the neck, collarbone. And here's where a rib cage would go, and it's the thorax. Remember the thorax? You have a bug. You have the abdomen of the bug right here. That's the abdomen. Then you have the thorax of the bug. Then you have the head of the bug. Right? And then kind of creepy. And then the legs. So thorax. This is the thorax of the human body right here. We call this the thorax with the rib cage, okay? And then the abdomen. And the abdomen would come right here. See how this looks? You have the rib cage, and the abdomen's coming out of the rib cage, okay? And then we have here the hips, and then we have the legs. The inner thigh, the outer thigh, the inner thigh, legs are kind of far apart here, and then farther than usual. And then the outer part of the lower leg, inner part of the lower leg, outer part of the lower leg, inner part of the lower leg. And then the ankles go here, and the heel, foot, okay? And here, there's a little knob right here where the clavicle, the collarbone, interacts with the back of the shoulder blade back here, and that's where the tip of the arm goes, the top of the arm. Then you have the deltoid, bicep, tricep. Then you have the forearm. See the shapes I'm making, these nice shapes? And then you have the wrist. You have the thumb and the fingers. Deltoid, bicep, tricep, forearm, thumb, hand. And the hand should fall right about there in the thigh. Okay? Give this person some hair. Eyebrows. And so it's a proportion of a young girl, okay, if it's 6 heads tall, okay? Thinking about the body, we have to think about these shapes, these muscle shapes. Muscles are shaped like this, okay? If we're comfortable drawing these shapes, we'll be comfortable drawing people, okay? It's important to be able to have a free, beautiful, nice line. So when I draw those arms like that deltoid, it's the deltoid, the bicep, tricep. See those muscles in there? Forearm, thumb, hand, fingers. Because look at the beautiful shapes in the hand. You have these beautiful shapes, right? These beautiful shapes, not my fingers, beautiful, but you see these nice shapes. So we draw these muscles, you want to think about these nice shapes. We're going to do it the side of the body now. We have the skull up here, and the face, and the jaw, and the eyes, and the nose, the mouth, right? And then the neck right here. And the spine goes back like this into the shoulder blades here, and then comes back. It's a very the spine is a very curvy thing to the tailbone back here. And then in here is a rib cage, your thorax, okay? And it's like a little armored fortress that carries the lungs and the heart, okay? And then over here is the abdomen, okay? This is like the tummy. It goes underneath the groin there. And then on the outside is the leg and the rear end. The gluteus maximus, this big thing of muscle and fat back here, the rear end. And then here's a hip bone in here, and then you have the hip, and you have the front of the thigh that comes out, back, into the kneecap, back of the thigh. Then you have a swelling back here for the calf, the front of the calf, the front of the leg here, the shin, into the ankle, and into the foot. Okay? Let's see, y'all seeing that. Okay, kind of low there. So look at the way I draw this leg. This leg goes like this. And I learned this when I was in high school. I was looking at athletes' legs, and I realized how much they really bend, and it kind of freaked me out. The leg goes back like this and then comes forward like that. Okay? So look at this. The front thigh, back into a knee, back of the thigh, and then I'm exaggerating, but this is really, it's crazy how much the leg really does want to bend. Then you have the ankle, heel, foot, toes. So I'm exaggerating here, but really, if you ever see a gymnast plant themselves after a big leap or flip, they really just, their legs bend in crazy ways because we're really a springy kind of creature, okay? So that's the body is divided. Again, head, figure out what your proportions are. It's really super important to know that. So I'm gonna make a person that's 7 heads tall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? So I have the head, divide it. Then I have the neck. I come in like this for the neck, and then out like that. And then I make the collarbone here. I make the rib cage. I just gently draw it in. The rib cage is actually pretty small. It's not really big. Okay? It's a shape like this. And then I make the abdomen. The abdomen's like an oval shape like that. And that's where the 6-pack goes, like the muscles in your tummy. Right there. It's really like an 8-pack. Okay? And then we have the hips here. They come out because underneath that is a bone that looks like this. The hip bones look like that. They're like a butterfly shape. And then the leg actually goes into a ball here. And the bone looks like that. It bends in. And the lower legs bend out. There's 2 bones in the lower legs. They bend out. The proportions are wrong here. Okay? And then in here, I have the groin, lower thigh, outer thigh, groin, outer thigh, kneecaps, lower leg, and then here I have the foot down here. So it's a person that's 7 heads tall, and then I put in here the deltoid, bicep, tricep, forearm, and I'll put here them opening their hand up so you can see their thumb and their fingers. Again, so deltoid, bicep, it's good to say it too. Deltoid, bicep, tricep, forearm, opening their hand up so you can see their thumb here, their hand. It's got an ugly hand there. Ugh, that guy got mutilated. Okay, but you see the hands should fall right around here. Your hands don't go to your knees. They go about mid-thigh right there. Okay? And you see this person's a little bit taller looking, so it's be about like a preteen to a teenager. Okay? And I'll give him some hair. Give her some hair. Okay? So that's how I organize the body. Okay? So when we think about shapes, when we think about people, we want to get out of the flatland, I'm going to give you a concept today, and it's called the concept of the loon. What the heck is a loon? This is a really, really important concept. So when we think about the eye, we tend to draw the eye flat. It's flat. We draw it flat. But we know the eye is not flat. Okay? What shape is the eye? Of course, it's a circle, right? It's a sphere. It's the eyeball, right? But how do you draw skin over an eyeball? How do you think about that? How do you get your head around that? Well, we have to think about loons. Okay? And this is what a loon is. You've seen a loon. Every time you take an orange and you peel an orange, and all those little those little orange wedges, you can do lemon wedges too, of course. Okay, those wedges, that's a loon shape. Okay, so a loon is this shape right here. Boom and boom. You see how I crossed over there? I crossed that line because this crosses over It doesn't have to cross over, but it looks cooler when it does, okay? So when you think about an eye, I'm gonna make the skin go across this sphere of this eyeball, okay? And then back around this way, and then I'm gonna make the skin go across this eyeball this way and back that way. And then there's the eyeball right there, and there is the lid. You see what happened? The skin went around the eyeball. I'll do it here. Boom, and there's the eyeball. And it doesn't have to be an eyeball for a person. It could be an eyeball for a horse or a dragon. It doesn't matter. Any kind of mammal, or it could be a reptile too, that has an eye is going to have skin go around it. And it's almost like a Pac-Man shape. Think about a three-dimensional Pac-Man. Here's a Pac-Man, okay? But now we're gonna make the Pac-Man go like this and like that. Yum, 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 right? And there's the Pac-Man. There's the loon shape for the inside of its mouth. If the Pac-Man was eating a ball, right, we can go like this. There's a big ball in the Pac-Man's mouth. Right? You see how I made the loon shape for the mouth here? And the Pac-Man's got a ball in his mouth. You see what I did there? That's that loon shape. This is a super important shape. And the loon is important all over the place. So if I make a flower, for instance, here I'll make the flower petals. Here's the base of the flower petals. And I'm gonna make a flower petal go this way. Look what I do. Boom. Make one go this way. Watch how I cross it. Boom. See how I crossed it there? This is forming a loon shape. That's like a lemon wedge, isn't it? And I'll make one come right at you. Bam, and boom. And one here. Boom, and wow. And back here. And over here. So see what I did? Cross, cross. Okay? This is a really powerful concept in art. It's one of the most powerful concepts, really. And I'll show you, you can think about a boat. Here's a boat. This is kind of a kiddie idea of a boat. But think about a boat if I do this. I'm going to go from the loon now to the infinity rule. This is the infinity rule, the potato chip rule. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to make a potato chip, right? But look what I do with my boat. Now, this over here is the inside of the boat, and this is the outside of the boat. I'll put on waves. You see what I just did? There's an oar here in the water and an oar over here. Okay, maybe there's a mast going to be on here, like a sail. But you see how this shape is? This is called the gunnel of a boat, and I use this potato chip shape. The potato chip shape is related to the loon shape because, again, I'm dividing these things. This leaf here, though it forms a wedge shape, I'm really using a form of the infinity rule. Okay? Bottom of the leaf and the shadow of the leaf. I'll do it again so you can see it. Okay, and this also forms the shape of a saddle. You think about a horse, and you put a saddle on a horse. Maybe it's a Western saddle. Doesn't matter, because a saddle shape, if we look at it three-dimensionally, not just sideways like this, is doing this. It's a potato chip. A saddle is a potato chip shape, okay? So again, it's using that infinity rule. It's a super important concept. It's a super important concept, and it's good in your art, okay? So again, I'm gonna draw a flower real quick. Think of flowers, everyone thinks flat flowers like this, right? Which are fine and pretty. But if you wanna go three-dimensional with your flowers, just cross the lines. Just cross the lines with them a little bit, and you're gonna get a real warp and a woof. You're gonna get a beautiful effect. See that cross? When you cross, then you could show the bottom of something and the top of something at the same time, of the same thing. And that's power in art. Okay? And I'll leave you today with a little break from people, and I'm going to talk a little bit about drawing a fantasy animal. So if you wanted to make the head of something, like let's say again, we're going to go back to this dragon idea, right? I love drawing dragons because I can have a lot of fun with shapes, and I'm going to draw a jaw on here with a chin and a mouth. And I like to open the mouth up. Remember I talked about the Pac-Man? See how I draw this Pac-Man? You can make it flat, or you could just make a little U shape here and make that Pac-Man. You can show the inside of that Pac-Man's mouth. So with this dragon here, I'm going to show the inside of this dragon's mouth. So that's a shadow. And I'm going to put a tooth here and another tooth here right across. And then I'm going to open this dragon's mouth like this, wide. And here I'm going to put some cool tendons or something to show like a snake. Okay? And then here's going to be the top of the mouth. I'll make a nose here. And I'm going to make these shapes here like this. Coming up to an eye. Let's give him a loon around his eye like that. That loon shape there. Give him a dragon eye. And then I'm going to give him spikes on top like this. The bottom of his neck, I'm going to give these shapes here, these like kind of C shapes. Okay, dragons could have all kinds of things. You could put whiskers on dragons. You can put a long forked tongue on a dragon, like a snake tongue. That's always really cool. Okay, you can show the other part of the eye here on the other side. That's always fun. Okay, and I'll leave you with one thing when I go, and that's called the rule of 9. When you draw in profile, like I was trying to draw that dragon right there, you could use a 9, show the other side here. So look what I'm doing. I make a 9, show it, that's where one side of the eye is going to go. Over here, show where the other side of the eye is going to go. I'm going to make a nose like this, and then I'm going to put the eye here with a loon, an eye here. This goes up like that. Chin, little mouth, some whiskers. Top of the head, maybe a little fur here, fur there. Put an ear there and an ear there. So that's a rule of 9. And that could be used with people too. I can make a 9, a nose. The eye would go there. And the eye would go here. And this is called the 3/4 view. The 3/4 view. Dimple for the nose, for the mouth. And then I make the mouth here and here. So it's a 3/4 view, the 3/4 view. Okay? And then the forehead, the cheeky cheek goes here and here. Jaw, chin, neck. It's very exaggerated, of course. Hair. See, now I'm showing the eye on this side of the nose, but it's not the front and it's not the side. It's the 3/4. That's where we'll stop today. This is Mike from Lux Blox. Check us out online at luxblox.com, and we'll be doing more of these drawing sessions every Thursday at 3 o'clock Central Time. So stay safe, do your social distancing, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.